Welcome to Idaho Fish and Game's Hook and Bulletin podcast, your weekly news roundup of hunting, fishing, trapping, and conservation stories from around the Gem State. Hosted by Fish and Game's Public Information Specialist, Connor J. Lease.
And welcome back, everyone, to Idaho Fish and Game's Hook and Bulletin podcast. It's been a fairly busy week for hunting, fishing, trapping, and conservation stories here in Idaho. This week on the Hook and Bulletin, we'll be talking about 6 species of swallows found here in Idaho, what to do when you catch a tagged fish, and a female moose attacking a turkey hunter near Blackfoot. But first, we're taking a look at how fish and game biologists use a certain fish pesticide to revive fisheries. Despite it being illegal for people to move live fish without a Fish and Game issued permit, unwanted fish, both game and non-game fish, show up where they don't belong and often outcompete existing fish populations. And Fish and Game isn't faultless either. Several decades ago, the agency stocked fish that harmed native fish populations, and since those days, it is working to fix those situations. Legally introduced or not, unwanted non-native fish can harm native fish and established sport fisheries, which reduces, you guessed it, fishing opportunities. Fisheries managers often face tough choices when fixing these situations. That might mean adjusting fishing regulations or closing fishing seasons, netting unwanted fish, draining a water body, and sometimes chemical treatments that completely reset the system when necessary. The most common quote-unquote reset button is a fish pesticide known as Rotenone, which is a naturally occurring chemical found in the roots of certain tropical plants. For centuries, Rotenone has been used by native tribes of Central and South America to catch fish for food. Since the 1930s, it has also been used by fisheries managers to control and remove unwanted fish. Basically, Rotenone blocks the flow of oxygen across the fish's gills and essentially suffocates them. When properly applied to ponds, reservoirs, and streams, Rotenone is an extremely effective tool for fish control. But while it is very effective at removing unwanted fish, it also kills desirable fish. But that doesn't mean all good fish are lost. Managers often use nets or electrofishing to remove desirable fish before using Rotenone, so those fish can be restocked after the Rotenone treatment. Okay, but you may be wondering, why don't managers just use other, more selective options to remove undesirable fish? In certain cases, there are other ways. Sometimes lakes are too large to effectively use Rotenone, or the presence of protected fish species such as white sturgeon, steelhead, salmon, and bull trout make the use of Rotenone more difficult, but not impossible. In those situations, targeted removal and suppression strategies are typically the better choice to restore fishery quality. And there are many examples of successful Rotenone treatments here in Idaho. In recent years, many of these treatments have focused on small ponds to control illegally stocked non-game fish, such as projects at Castle Rocks Pond, Heagle Park, and Bruno Dunes. After unwanted fish are removed, Fish and Game crews restock the water body and quickly rebuild the fishery. Fish and Game's management philosophies have changed significantly over the last century to value and protect native fish, and now the negative effects of past fish introductions on native fish populations are better understood. As more non-native fish continue to show up where they don't belong, expect to see Rotenone treatments become more common here in Idaho. While Rotenone is a powerful tool for fisheries managers, they would prefer to avoid it in the first place. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and also better than a barrel of Rotenone. And keep in mind that illegally stocked fish comes with some pretty serious penalties, including loss of fishing privileges, and not to mention they can have detrimental effect on your fishery's resources. So the moral of the story here is don't move live fish. And if you know about an illegal stocking, go report it. For more information, check out Tucker Brower's story on our website. Okay, next up, here's another fishing story aimed at some lucky anglers. Whether you are fishing at an urban pond, a wild river, or an alpine lake, that next fish you catch might actually have an orange tag, and Idaho Fish and Game needs your help reporting it. Fisheries biologists attach orange-colored, quote-unquote, T-bar anchor tags to various fish species throughout the state to learn more about them. When anglers report the tagged fish, biologists can learn how many fish in a specific area or population are caught by anglers.
We've had some fish get caught the same day we tagged them, while some fish might not get caught and reported until years later.
That's Kevin Meyer, one of Fish and Game's fisheries research biologists.
Tags are a crucial component of our research and management aimed at making fishing better for Idaho's anglers.
Tags can also describe fish migrations and are used to compare survival and catch of different types of hatchery-raised fish after they are stocked. Each reported tag provides valuable information about an angler catch, survival, and abundance of certain species, which helps biologists manage fish populations for better fishing. So, what happens when you do hook a tagged fish? Well, each tag is labeled with a unique number that identifies the fish and how to report it online. If the tag is not a reward tag, you can decide whether to remove it from the fish or leave it and release the fish for the next angler to report another catch. If you plan to leave the tag, record the tag number or take a clear picture on your phone. If you choose to clip the tag, use scissors or clippers to avoid yanking it out of the fish. In some cases, tagged fish even come with a reward. For those lucky anglers, you will see the word reward printed on the tag and a dollar amount, which can range from $25 to $200. Reward tags must be removed from the fish by clipping the tag with scissors or clippers and sent to Fish and Game's research office in Nampa. To learn more and see where to mail reward tags, head on over and check out Sarah Casanelli's story on our website. Okay, moving on to moose attack news. Back on May 24th, a turkey hunter was attacked by a female moose a few miles south of Blackfoot city limits. The incident took place on a section of BLM land bordering the Snake River downstream of Wadsworth Island. The individual was hunting turkeys when he accidentally startled a female moose with her twin calves. That's right, dos moose. The moose began to charge, and though he fired 2 warning shots at the ground in front of her, the cow hardly batted an eyelash. As the moose knocked him to the ground, he was able to fire a 3rd shot which made contact with the animal. The moose ran off and the hunter was able to leave the area safely with just a few bruises. As he left the area, the individual noted that at one point he could see the injured moose a few hundred yards away, bedded down. She stood up and began grazing while her calves nursed. The full extent of her injuries is not known at this time. Idaho Fish and Game will be placing signs near boat ramps on the river in the vicinity of the encounter, cautioning the public to be aware of a moose with calves and to maintain a safe distance if the animals are spotted. Though conflicts with moose are usually rare, moose can be defensive and dangerous if startled. This is particularly true during the fall when bulls are rutting and in the spring when females have calves. This encounter serves as an important reminder to all outdoor enthusiasts to be aware of your surroundings, especially when recreating in thick vegetation or near rushing water, where moose and their young can be harder to see and hear. If you have any questions about recreating around wildlife, or if you have a wildlife encounter to report, call your nearest Fish and Game regional office, or head on over to our website and read Jenny Jackson's story. With that, it's time for the Rapid Fire Bulletin. Idaho Fish and Game just happens to be celebrating 125 years of managing Idaho's fish and wildlife. And in the Southeast region, staff are using Fish and Game's Free Fishing Day to help commemorate this special conservation milestone with a few community events. Even if you or your kids don't know how to fish, there will be plenty of helpful hands at both regional events to assist with fishing basics, from baiting a hook to reeling in a catch. Remember, you don't have to enjoy a specific event to get the benefits of Free Fishing Day on June 8th. Just get outside and enjoy a day of fishing without worrying about a license. All other fishing rules still apply, so make sure to check the fishing regs before you head off to reel in some fun. Swallows, the F-16s of the bird world, are a family of birds made up of about 86 different species, 6 of which can be found here in Idaho during the summer. And they also happen to be the subject of May's Wildlife Express newsletter for kids. Idaho is home to bank swallows, barn swallows, cliff swallows, northern ruffed-winged swallows, tree swallows, and violet-green swallows. Be sure to check out May's edition of Wildlife Express, which is out now, if you want to delve a little deeper into the world of swallows, how they eat and build nests, and how they're depicted in different cultures. An instructor-led wolf trapper education class will be held in Glens Ferry on June 1st from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. as part of the National Trappers Association Western Region Trapping and Outdoor Expo. Signing up is super easy. Just follow the link in Terry Thompson's story to sign up. The cost of the class is $9.75. Wolf trapper and trapper education classes are required if a person wants to trap wolves in Idaho. For more information, contact the Magic Valley Regional Office at 208-389-3900 324-4359. Idaho Fish and Game has begun the process of negotiated rulemaking. The department is currently hosting a series of public meetings at Fish and Game's headquarters building in Boise between May 29th and May 31st. The meetings are also being streamed virtually on Zoom, and recordings from these meetings will be available on our YouTube channel. Those interested can learn more about each rule chapter being reviewed and, more importantly, provide comments. Negotiated rulemaking is a complex, important process that strives to simplify and streamline rule language and reduce regulatory burden. Hit the link in the description if you want to learn more. Okay, that's it for this week's stories. It's time for our question of the week. This question is coming to us all the way from Mariposa Elementary. Students of Mrs. Lisa's third grade class actually took the time to write in, asking what role do black bears play in the ecosystem? That is an excellent question, one that I wish I was smart enough to answer on the fly. Instead, I had to phone a friend. So shout out to the folks over at Fish and Game's MK Nature Center for helping me out on this one. Black bears play a number of roles in ecosystems. Most of their diet is made up of plant parts, like berries and other fruits. Because many seeds and pits pass through their digestive system intact, bears are important dispersers of these plants across the landscape. When the bear poops, it spreads the seeds which could grow into new plants that produce more fruit to feed bears and many other animals. But they don't just eat fruits and berries. Black bears are predators on young deer and elk in the spring. This helps control populations of these animals so they do not exceed the carrying capacity, or the number of animals the habitat can support. Scavengers also benefit from bear kills by gleaning the leftovers. Bones that are left are chewed by mice and other small rodents, providing them with calcium. And when a black bear finds a colony of ants, termites, or honeybees, they tear apart the tree to get at the insects. This helps with the disintegration of the wood, returning nutrients to the soil. The abandoned dens of black bears are sometimes reused by other denning animals such as coyotes, wolves, or foxes, or other animals looking for shelter. That's a lot of information, I know, but hopefully you learned a thing or two about black bears. Thank you so much for writing in, you guys. And that is all the news we have for this week. Thanks for putting an ear to Idaho Fish and Game's Hook and Bulletin. If there's something on your mind, or if you got a question related to fish and game matters, feel free to drop us a line at podcast@idfg.idaho.gov. Again, that's podcast@idfg.idaho.gov. Thank you so much for listening, folks. We'll catch you next week.